at the bathroom?
He went potty already.
What do you hold yourself like that for?
He's holding him. He went downstairs.
Oh.
That's my belt for my trousers.
Right, do you remember when Bob Hogan used to say, Captain?
Now we come with our machinery here.
Tell us about that book there, Bob.
This book right here, you let me tell you about.
Yeah.
This is a book here that it must have been my mother's book. It was an album, and it's undoubtedly. I don't know where's the speaking to.
Yeah,
anyway.
you're all right.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's pretty old and hasn't been too well taken care of, evidently. But and some of the pictures are missing, as you may notice too. We may come back to some of these and look at them a little closer. But you can see they felt that one picture per page was enough. These are my two aunts, Sister Bertha and Blanche, and what were their names? Sister Tatiana and Sister.
No,
Oh, you did too.
Bertha was the only one I know.
Bertha and Blanche, and this is again. This is when she must have graduated from high school about that time, and she had received a Palmer Method certificate for writing. And it might interest you to know that your father-in-law got one of those too, Luke. George was his name, but he was nicknamed Judd, and that's what everybody called him by, was Judd. And he was the youngest of 11 children. This was my father's first family. He went to McCook and graduated from McCook High and also from McCook Junior College. No, he didn't graduate, but he went to college for a while. But he was quite old when he graduated from high school, because back in those days, there seemed to be no limit to how long they could go to high school. And he liked to play football and basketball, and he got so old he was dating most of the teachers that he had, which finally I think helped his grades so that he was able to graduate. Now that I've told you that, you've heard all my history, Luke. Let's switch to another one. She was a nice girl, but a little cross-eyed. She married George Shoemaker, and after they got married, was this the one, Peg, that you, Margaret? When they spent their honeymoon in Indianola, Nebraska, which is a town about 10 miles east of McCook. And one time, Peg rode down to Kearney from McCook with George Shoemaker, Francis's husband, and he mentioned the fact that that was the town that they had spent their honeymoon in. They moved from McCook to Idaho. All of the family members are deceased now, so I don't remember when, but they're all deceased. This is Joe Schneider. He married Ann McCracken, and they used to live at Grand Island. And they lived there for quite a number of years, and they still have some children that live in Grand Island. At least they did here up until a few years ago. Now this is Katie. She's the oldest one in our family, and in fact, everyone thought that she was older than my mother. She wasn't actually, but she did appear to be that way. But a real nice gal. And she married August Dupre. And they had about 6 children, and they lived in York, Nebraska. Jack was a bachelor for quite a number of years, and Jack was a bootlegger before the repeal of Prohibition. And he was a very popular fellow in McCook. And he finally married Connie Meister was her name. And Connie, I think, may still be living, but Jack passed away some years ago. And Peg and I were best man and bridesmaid at their wedding. And Oliver was a twin. Esther was his twin sister. And Oliver married quite late in life. He married Reba Bratton, and they have 4 children. And Oliver is dead, and Reba, before he died, they had moved out to Las Vegas, Nevada, and had lived there for some time before Oliver passed away. And just recently, within the last year or two, his wife Reba has died, but their children are still living around the Las Vegas area. So, And Teresa was a nurse, and she had gotten her nursing degree in Grand Island, and she nursed for quite a number of years. She later married, I can't remember who it was she married anymore, and it's a terrible thing that I can't, and it'll come back to me after we get done talking about these pictures. But they lived out in Salt Lake City, and I think they never had any children. I was one of the older boys, and he married and had about 5 children. And Tony he moved out of Nebraska into Kansas, and he had a farm down in Norton, Kansas. And as far as I know, that he lived there the rest of his life. He's deceased, of course, and so is his wife, but they have several children that still survive. Esther, she's the twin sister of Oliver, who we showed the picture of before. She married a farmer by the name of Dan O'Neill, and he had a farm, and they had their farm pretty well equipped. They had a refrigerator that operated on a gas principle, and it was a result of this that she died. They had a pantry, and this was where they had the refrigerator, and the gas started burning, and she was in the pantry. And to get out, she had to go through the doorway, and as a result, she got burned quite badly. They brought her to McCook in the hospital, but were unable to do anything for her. She died a few days later. Are you ready to go now? This is my father, John Schneider. His name was John F. Schneider, and the F stood for Fidelis. And Fidelis means ever faithful, you know. I don't know where the name came from, but I think his parents must have been reading the Bible one time, and they came across the name, and it sounded real good. But he was one of about 4 brothers that came to McCook and the surrounding vicinity. When he came, he was one of the pioneers. He came out with the railroad, and he homesteaded some acreage north and west of McCook. And he farmed and ranched for quite a number of years, and he was a commissioner in Hayes County for several years. Okay, she had no relationship to the children that you are seeing, but he was married. She was married to my father at this time, and the kids all liked Mom, and they had asked her to join them in this picture. And I thought it was quite nice too. Or better known as Hank. And Hank eventually took over the farm and ranch operation that my father lived on and had homesteaded. Hank married a lady by the name of Helen Brown, and she still survives and lives in McCook. They had 4 children, and they're kind of scattered around. Some still live in McCook. Vern, the oldest, lives in McCook. Dick is in Colorado, and I don't know for sure where the others are. This is Ida. She's one of the older girls, the oldest next to Katie. Ida married Jim Doherty, and they lived on the ranch for a while before moving to York, Nebraska. And they had several children too. They had one pair of twins by the name of Jim and Joe, and they were kind of ornery kids, as I recall, but had a real fine family. Must have been probably in the late 30s. When this picture was taken, it was black and white, but there was a lady that was rooming at our house that tinted pictures for people that wanted color, and so she tinted this one. It shows my father and his 11 children and my mother. Really, I don't have any other comment to make, unless my son-in-law here has.
How did his wife die, his first wife, the mother of all these children?
You know, I never did know for sure. maybe Clara or Leona might know, but I don't remember how she died. Another thing that my father's mother lived in McCook for a while, and I never knew her. I must have met her, but I can't remember her at all.